Hello, everybody. I'm back. Looked like we got knocked off. I'm going to just pick up where I left off. We were talking about the power of universal consciousness or the mind of God. I'm going to pick up. You're going to have to come in from the other video. People who are watching this on reviews or rewatches or whatever, replays. You're gonna have to come in to the second and get the end of what I was talking about in the first. And if you're coming in on this, you're probably gonna at least need to watch the end of the first to really get where I'm going on this. But there was a time I'm talking about the presence of God in everything, everywhere, at all times. We talk about His omniscience and omnipresence, the all being, all knowing, and being everywhere at the same time. And we just get these different ideas of what it is, and sometimes we struggle with it because it simply cannot make sense. And when we don't feel the presence, or we're not literally experiencing the presence, we tend to think, maybe it's not for me. But I remember going through this dark time in 2012, the worst time that I've ever been in my life. 2012 was definitely that year. And I remember talking about how dark it was. And I just constantly said, I can't escape the darkness. I've got to overcome the darkness. I got to get out of this darkness. And it was so dark at one time. I remember sharing with a male friend of mine that my greatest concern at the time was that I was going to wake up one morning and I would have lost my mind. That's how bad it was. I was like, and my prayers were simple. Give me the strength to get through it. That was my prayer, not anything else. Give me the strength to get through it. I don't want to break under the pressure. Give me the strength to get through it. And my promise to God was, if you wake me up, I'll answer the bell. That was my prayer. It wasn't all, take me out of it, give me this and all. No, I'm coming through this because there's something on the other side of this struggle that's worth having, that I'm going to obtain. I'm going to be faithful to my purpose. I'm going to be faithful to my destiny, and I'm going to push through it. But in the midst of it, it was dark. There's no other way to put it. People pretend all the time that everything's good, but nobody gets through life without seeing darkness. And if you don't understand that you can come out of the darkness, see, I understood by being in it that I was built for that. See, and that's something that I've trained myself over time and over the years, that when things get rough, how I settle myself is I get up, I dust myself off, I go stand and I look in the mirror and say, you're built for this. And I say it until I have my shoulders squared, my head held up, and I'm ready to go put in that work, because you're not going to talk your way out of it. I say all the time, you can't pray to God for Him to deliver you from the giants He sent you to slay. That's not how things work. You're going to have to demand that yourself puts in the work. But I'm in this place, right? This dark place. I'm getting to it. I'm in this dark place. I'm talking. Then I went to a female relative, an older relative. And I'm just explaining, man, I need prayer. I need, whatever. And I'm saying all these things that, I could think of that was going to make it better, right? I'm saying it. And then I'm thinking, because I'm in the darkness, I'm away from God. Because, see, religion, I have you thinking that when it's darkness, that's because you're away from God. But then my female relative, who is also versed in the Bible, she said, "Hey, go pay attention to what Solomon said. Solomon said God dwells in the darkness, even the gross darkness. In essence, every element, every piece of material, everything is in its own essence a part of the totality of God. In other words, you can't be somewhere and God is not there. You can't be somewhere and not experience God. One of the when I do prayer and meditation in the morning, and for those who are saying, okay, prayer and meditation, how does that work? Well, to me, one of the things I tell people all the time is, if you're praying to God from a traditional sense, when in the world are you listening? The average traditional prayer is you get down, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, and you tell God everything that you want to tell God. That's prayer. Again, when are you listening? Because there are no pauses. There's no back and forth going. When are you listening? Meditation is when you get quiet enough and you shut off the rest of the world to hear what God is saying to you. Because God is in wherever you're at, no matter what. God is not absent. And one of the things that I say when I'm in my meditation is the answers are on their way to me. The answers are on their way to me. And then I end it every day. My prayer meditation is ended with a long meditation, verbal meditation, that comes in after the fact. I'm making a declaration based off of my communication and hearing from God. And my verbal acknowledgement of that is, no matter what obstacle or undesirable circumstance crosses my path, I refuse to accept it, for it is nothing but an illusion. There can be no obstacle or undesirable circumstance to the mind of God, which is in me, around me, and it serves me now. There's no answer to any problem that I have ever faced in my life that there wasn't an answer to. There was no problem, no problem, no problem that there wasn't an answer to. There's always an answer. There's nothing that the universal mind of God does not know. And matter of fact, it's nothing that the universal, because of God's omnipresence, God is not only knowing what has happened and what is happening, but what will happen and what could have happened. And because of that, there's absolutely nothing that the answer doesn't already exist for. And the answer is moving towards you when you expect it. When you are declaring that you expect it, that you are in oneness with God, that you are receiving what God has for you. Not mystically, not magically, but really and truly sitting in and aligning yourself on an expectation level that creates a high enough frequency to match the frequency of God's response. You can't help but receive it. And God designed it to be methodically and systematically done this way, so it performs the same every time. It is no respecter of a certain person, a certain race, a certain socioeconomic class, a certain political party. It is, I'm in alignment with my destiny. I'm in alignment with my purpose. I have an expectation of what's inside of me. I don't care what comes against me. I'm believing that I'm capable. I was not built for mediocrity. I was not built for being average. There's something extraordinary inside of me, and I am going to align myself with God, the designer, because nobody can tell anybody about the design better than the designer. And when things are going a little off, you contact the designer and get in alignment, and you look for, hey, I'm dealing with this. Instead of panicking and being anxious and being worried and becoming frustrated and dropping your frequency and dropping your vibration, you sit up and say, I don't know the answer yet, but I believe. I don't know the answer yet, but I'm expecting. I don't know the answer yet, but I'm going to rise up out of it. And by the very nature, your mind is listening to your self-talk and establishing, we got this. I don't have the answer yet, but we got this. You don't have to have a whole bunch of religious cliches to walk in this. You just got to trust that if God designed me for something, he provided the way for it to happen. If God designed me to touch lives in the inner city community, if God designed me to walk behind prison walls and touch lives, if God designed me to start businesses that employ the poor, if God, whatever it is, everybody's got an assignment. And you've got a genius and a gift and a talent associated with the assignment. Get rid of the religiosity and start absorbing the mighty power of the presence of God. See, you'll shrink yourself and confuse yourself if you get caught too far up in the religious nature of trying to understand God, because it'll tell you, don't do this, you can't do this. If this ain't happening, then that. You're out of line with this, you're out of line with that. Now, see, the one thing I know is when you have a relationship, you know what you're supposed to be doing and what you're not supposed to be doing. Nobody has to come along and tell you. When you have a relationship in divine conjunction with the Almighty, you don't need rules and regulations. The higher self is responding to the demand of the knowledge and the connection with the designer, and you automatically carry yourself a certain way. You automatically treat people a certain way. You automatically hold yourself to a different standard. It's not in religiosity. It's not in tenets. It's in relationship and an understanding of who you are, whose you are, where you come from, your origin, and your purpose. We've become so arrogant and judgmental that we've missed it. There's a need for a unique and individual and intimate connection to the source. Quantum physics is simply an explanation of how it takes place. But you've got to sit up and trust your design. More importantly, trust the designer. How can a God that's perfect and powerful and magnificent and does extraordinary things that can't be denied, no matter what you want to say, when you search something this simple? Let's look at our galaxy and look at the Earth and how it sits in our galaxy, and then look at its sustaining, its ability to sustain life of multiple species, multiple forms, and look at it. Then look at what it takes to sustain that life. There are literally 100 variables that if any one of those 100, more than one, but there are at least 100 variables that if even one of those variables were to vary to the left or to the right by more than 1%, life on the planet Earth would cease to exist. That's not chance. That's not random. That's order. Even in the midst of chaos, there's order. Look for the order in the chaos and you have the answer, because the order is the divine. And you've got to understand that when you are sitting up, everything seems chaotic, but there's order to it. There's always patterns and orders. That's how it was designed to happen. Find the pattern, you find the way. Find the order, you find the peace. See, everybody gets caught up on the surface and don't understand that there's deeper levels to it. Study the 7 universal laws of how God put things into place to function and move a certain way. And when it says God is no respecter of persons, that's exactly what it means. That if you follow this, that's why people sit up and say, people that don't even believe in God, atheists, study the Bible, because there are certain principles that produce certain results. And it's not tied in, it's saying do this and you get this, period. But when you become religious, you become arrogant, and you get frustrated when you see somebody that don't believe what you believe doing better than you. You get frustrated. You ain't read God. Now, how I'm doing this, and they over there doing this, and they living like this. And then you blame the devil helping it, the devil paying it. No, they're just simply universal laws, universal principles that govern results. One of the big ones is the law of reciprocity, sowing and reaping. What you put out comes back. A lot of you sowing negative energy, even if it's not necessarily aimed at anybody else. If you are a complainer, you are sowing negative energy, and the only thing you can get back is things that are on that frequency. You're going to have to find a way to escape the practice of negativity to produce positivity. You're going to have to condition and train your subconscious to look for the positive. I start my morning every morning with a mind of gratitude, heart of gratitude, a literal state of gratitude. And that gratitude serves me well in so many different ways. Number one, it sets a very high frequency. Number two, it prepares me for when I do get hit with something negative. I'm not totally knocked off my block by it. Because no matter what I'm going through in this negative situation, there are these things that I have to be grateful for. Life is not as bad as it seems. Change your perception and your perspective. Look, I can go on and on and on and on and on about this, but at the end of the day, you have way more ability to dictate and control your destiny and your situations than you are led to believe. You have been given the power to literally envision something and then bring it into reality. You have that, but we have been taught to dwarf our goals and to entertain colorless dreams and to stay inside of the box of mediocrity and docility, and we dare not get outside of it because we might lose our popularity. We might lose people we consider to be close, and we never truly pursue the ultimate end of our destiny, and we stay small. And I'll leave you with this. No matter how you see God, no matter how you see God, if you see God in any way, tell me, how do you properly represent God to those that you are trying to convince of God? By living small, by being average, by complaining and whining, by always talking about how people are doing something to you and never standing up and taking control of your life. You're not representing God very well by living small. Stand up, square your shoulders, become acquainted with your purpose, press forward through passion, achieve the desired end of your destiny. God meets you at the level of your expectations. With that being said, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable, day. Hopefully, I get a chance to come back. If not, enjoy your weekend. Look, I have made a commitment in this life that I'm gonna live my life on full, so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I'm challenging everyone who watches this video to do the same thing. I'm out of here. Peace.